Well, hello and welcome to Knife Delights. You know, folks, one of the interesting things of knife collecting is checking out all the different locking mechanisms that people have come up with throughout the years. And it's just another aspect of knife collecting. You know, we can collect by pattern, collect by handle and cover materials, or by brand name or whatever, but there's always little secondary reasons to collect, and one of the things is some interesting different knife locks. Now, I wanted to do a video called The Definitive Guide to Knife Locks, but folks, I can't do that. No, I'm not an expert here. I'm just going to go through what I got and try to explain them the best I can. You know, if you search on the internet, why, just type in types of knife locks and you get all kinds of information out there. So, and every site has little different definitions and all this and that. All the terms I'm going to be using here are pretty generic. So, yeah, if I get a term not quite specific, you know the spirit of what I'm trying to say. So I just gathered up a pile of knives here. And this one here, this is technically a slip joint knife. As you can see there. You can see there. However, this is a Kudo Light by Cold Steel. Very inexpensive budget knife. Fantastic knife. I think this is $7 or $8. But the reason I brought this up is the Kudo knife comes from Africa, and they called it a ring lock. And typically there was a ring up here. You'd pull on the ring to unlock it. So that was one kind of a lock, was the ring lock. Okay, you're probably familiar with the Opinel. And we've got these types of locks here. Now this is a number 6. And I think there's several different names. I think you can call it a barrel lock or collar lock, however. But anyway, the blade just folds open, and then you just twist the collar around like that, and it locks it in. So when Opinel first came out, they did not have this, I don't believe. So this is kind of an innovation that they came up with, and I think they've actually changed it and improved it. I think they've even updated it. Tobias did some videos on the Opinel, on some new Opinels. So there's a kind of a lock. Now, when it comes to back locks, the most famous back lock that I know of is the back lock that Buck came out with on the original Buck 110. Here's a 110 of mine from the 2023 Bourbon and Blades. And that's Red Hill Cutlery has that event every year. And look at that. This one's signed by C.J. Buck. Yeah. So yeah, the good old back lock. Now, I'm not saying that Buck invented that back lock, but they certainly improved on it and made it popular. I mean, all kinds of knife companies came out with back locks. I mean, here's a Colonial Ranger LB 125 lock back. So yeah, a lot of companies came out with these. And they just didn't even stick with the big knives. You know, I've been doing these. This is one of those little Pakistan knives. No, this is the American blade knife. You can see, lock back. So a lot of people copied it. And here's one more back lock. Even K-Bar got into the game with a small lock back here. This is a little K-Bar, Cleveland, Ohio, model 1605. Stainless. This one was made in Hong Kong. Isn't that interesting? Okay. This one here is called, oh gosh, I left my notes upstairs. I'll have to put it in the, leave a comment up here, but this is a, oh goodness. Anyway, press down on here, makes it like a switchblade. This is out of Germany. What is this? The Uberto Springer. Yeah. I got to be a little careful with this one because it's proud. But this is one form of a switchblade, or a switchblade type action, automatic knife. Alright, what else do we got here? That's that Colonial. Now here's one called the Rust Lock. Now it actually is a liner lock, but they designed this part up here, and I almost have to use two hands to open this one because it's so tight. So technically it's a liner lock, but you can see with this here, and you can put your finger there, hold on to there, and it gives you extra protection, I guess you would say. Now, the reason it's called the Rust Lock, it's named after Russell Case. It's a throwback to him. And the old razors would basically be like a friction folder where you keep the blade in place by holding down on this. So they kind of combined the old straight razor friction with a liner lock there. And they call it the Rust Lock. Here's a little variation on the lock back. I guess you'd call this a front lock. But this is by Klaus Cutlery. Now these are made in China anymore. The name's been bought out. But Klaus was an old cutlery, American cutlery company. But look at this kind of lock here. The lock is right there. Push down on it. And this is a dual knife. Got the hawk bill and the lamb's foot. Got a little blade wobble. Very, very inexpensive. I think I paid, is this the Klaus scissors? Yeah. So I was at Menards, and this package, and these are very good scissors, but this package was like $6 or something like that. Well, it's worth it just for the scissors, but so this is a very handy dandy little lightweight knife that you can throw anywhere just as a spare, but that would not be my main carry by any means. Alrighty. What else do we got? Oh, here's a mid lock. So we've seen the back lock and we've seen the upside down front lock. But also they started putting the lock in the middle of the knife. And I just had to show you this one because I just love this knife. This is a Meyer Co. Speedster and Blackie Collins design. This is my first tactical knife I ever bought. I love this knife, and you know what? This thing is really comfortable. I carried this a lot on duty. I sure did. So this brings back good memories here. Just had to show it. All right. Of course, we know one of the old designs, slip joints. You can see there, the back spring there just slips into place. You always have to cut that way. Keep the pressure back against the blade that way. So yeah, just a slip joint, and there's countless, hundreds, thousands of different knife companies that came out with pocket knives with a good old slip joint. There are some mysterious ones. I'm not sure about this one. I got this in that big old basket of knives. And it's almost like some sort of a slip joint, almost. But there's the lock there, pressed down here. So in a way, it's some sort of a modified slip joint. I don't know. Again, if it was a friction folder, you'd put your hand down over that thing there and hold the blade in place. But so isn't that? This is from Solingen, Germany. Of course, the inox just means stainless steel or rust-free or something like that. So I don't know who made that knife, but there's another kind of a lock. Victorinox. On this one here, and this is their Adventurer model. And you can see you got a lock right here. Open up the main blade, and it's locked in place. You gotta slide that back down to unlock it. So what do you call that? A side lock? Slide? a side slide lock. Say that real fast 3 times. So anyway, another kind of a lock. We've got a CRKT here. I carried this knife an awful lot when I was on duty also. And this is the M21, one of the styles of the M21. And when it folds open, you can see it's got a guard right there. So it's a rather heavy knife, but it is for quote unquote tactical purposes, if you will. So it is a liner lock, but in addition, they put this button here as an additional lock on it. And I don't know if there's a name for it. So, you know, you can't unlock it. You have to pull back on this, and then you can move the liner lock over. So it's got an additional lock. Now, I think they stopped using this because they got customer complaints. People didn't like that extra lock on there. I don't know. I kind of like the fact that it's there. But I'm used to opening slip joint knives. We got all these fancy flippers and all this. I still use 2 hands to open a knife. I know. I should have lived 100 years ago, right? I can't get in the game. So there you go, a different kind of lock. Where else are we at? Okay, now I believe this is, what did they call this? This was a proprietary lock. Was it the Axis lock or something like that? But this is on an Ozark Trail. I think the patent ran out on that, so other companies can now use it. And this don't open up all the way. Anyway, that locks into place. Then you slide it back. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's what that is. I need to oil and adjust this. I know people have gotten it to where they can flip it right open, but I haven't really played with it. So there's a kind of a lock. And I've kind of showed you some liner locks. This is a Buck Mako, the small Mako. It came out in 2005. This one was actually made in China, but it was designed by a guy with the last name of Mayo, I guess. And it's the number 174. All stainless steel, I guess that is. Yep. But as you can see, it's the actual frame that bends in and locks that blade in place instead of a liner. So that's what a frame lock looks like. I'll show you the action there. There you go. Alright, this one here, and again I don't know if there's a proper name for it, but it's like a sliding lock. So to unlock it, slide that back, and then this is an assisted opening. And this is a Buck 288. So it is a mid lock, but since it's assisted opening, it's got the additional lock up here. And that thing, boy, does that spit right out there. Quickfire is the name of the knife by Buck. So you can lock it in place so it don't fire while you got it in your pocket, I guess. Okay, everyone's always trying to modify or come up with a new style of lock, and what I have here is 2 examples of what's called the Neely lock. And the Neely came out on Timberline knives, and Timberlines was a company from the very late 80s to early 90s. From what I can understand is they didn't last very long, and as far as I know, these knives were made in the USA. I've got it marked rare with a question mark because there's just not many of these out. I saw one on either this one or this one on an auction site, and they wanted like $150 for them. So I guess it's kind of a historic knife. Of course, you can ask anything you want on an auction site. Doesn't mean you're going to sell it at that, right? So red handle and black handle, A little bit different designs. Very similar, but different. So what is the Neely lock? Well, this one is stiff. Okay, so it's locked into place. So the Neely lock is, you actually pull out on the knife, that unlocks it, and then you can fold it. So pretty there, that one's nice. Pretty stiff detent on that first one. So again, you pull out and then fold it closed. And I have a hard time getting onto those thumb studs. But listen to that snap. Wow. That snaps into place. You can tell they're kind of old because look at that pocket clip. Neely lock, and there's the patent number for it. It did not take off. It did not take off. Well, folks, there's a good look at a lot of the different locking mechanisms I have here. Do you have some that I don't have? And do you have a favorite locking mechanism? Or are you like me and just like your... Oh, wait a minute. Electrician's knife. I was going to say, then you get knives like the electrician's knife where you got a slip joint blade there and you got a liner lock there. So it combines both of them, doesn't it? So yeah, if you have a favorite, please let me know in the comments below what your favorite locking mechanism is. And if I've missed something, why, please let me know. I am certainly not an expert, especially when it comes to all these modern knives. So until next time, have a very delightful day.